Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Italy.
It's time for Dodger Baseball. Live from Dodger Stadium, Prime Tickets presents the Dodgers as they take on the Colorado Rockies. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Thursday evening to you, wherever you may be. Dodgers and Rockies meeting Game 1 of a 4-game series. Also the 10th meeting of the year between the teams, and the Colorado Rockies have a slight edge. They've won 5 of 9. Battle of left-handers, both of whom are having their problems. Chris Capuano with a record of 2-6, earned run average over 5. On the mound for Colorado, left-hander Drew Pomeranz 0-2, and an earned run average over 9. For the Dodgers, since the 22nd of June, they've won 15 out of 18, and they've picked up 8 games in the standings. They've also done that by winning 12 of the last 14 in the Western Division. But talking about the Western Division, the Colorado Rockies have won 26 times within the West. That's the best record in the major leagues within a division by one team. So it looks like a good one. Game 1 of the 4-game series, 2 games separating the two teams. We'll have the ball game and a whole lot more coming up right after this. go big at a Jack in the Box near you with Jack's new Big Stack Burger.
And we are moments away from first pitch here at the Ravine. Rockies and the Dodgers, 4 games before the All-Star break. It is confirmed a sellout. This little guy, Adrian Gonzalez, might have something to do with that. That and all the winning. Steve Lyons, Patrick O'Neill, the road trip. 7-2, outscoring opponents 58-31.
Anytime you go on a 9-game trip through your own division, you go to Colorado, San Francisco, Arizona, and you win 7 out of those 9 games, you know you're going to pick up some ground. They're just a game and a half back. Before that road trip, the Dodgers were 13-22 on the road.
Now to business at hand, taking care of the Colorado Rockies. Also in the division, you look at Arizona currently at home, losing to Milwaukee early 2-0. But, hey, one at a time, but how great would it be to be in first at the break?
Yeah, 4 games here before the break. You absolutely can make up some ground here, even though you're not playing against Arizona. You got to take care of business against a revived Colorado team. This is not the same team that we just played a week ago. They've got all their stars back. They're going to be a much tougher team to beat.
Yeah, indeed. All right, so we have Chris Capuano on the hill going against Drew Pomerantz. Yasiel Puig didn't make the final vote, will not be an All-Star, but he will be starting in center field. When we come back, Vince Scully and the first pitch on Prime Ticket.
The All-Star break, and a good and important series it figures to be. The Dodgers a game and a half out of first place, and Colorado 3.5 back, and they go after each other for 4 games. Tonight, Chris Capuano, the left-hander, going against another left-hander, Drew Pomerantz. The Dodgers at home are 25-21. Walt Weiss bringing his ball club in. They have about the identical record as the Dodgers at home. The big thing about Colorado, they have won 26 games in the Western Division. That's not only tops in the West, it is tops in every division in both the National and the American League. Here's the lineup for the visiting Rockies. Dexter Fowler just starting after a lengthy stay on the DL. He's in center. Josh Rutledge at second base. Carlos Gonzalez in left field, an all-star. Troy Tulowitzki just off the DL, also an all-star. And Michael Kadaya back-to-back-to-back. 3 all-stars that Capuano will have to battle. Then you have the catcher, Willen Rosario. Todd Helton at first. Nolan Arenado at third. And the pitcher, Drew Pomerantz. On the mound for the Dodgers, the veteran left-hander Chris Capuano. He is 1-4 at home with an earned run average of 9. And this is pretty much of a pitcher's ballpark, but it certainly hasn't helped Capuano. On the road, he is 1-2, but his earned run average on the road is 2.6. One other couple of notes about Capuano. Right-hand batters are hitting .322 against him with 7 home runs. Left-hand batters are hitting .215 against him with no home runs. The left-hand batters in the Rockies lineup are Gonzalez and Helton. Dexter Fowler is a switch hitter. We can take a look at the Dodgers with the leather behind Capuano, and it's Gonzalez and Mark Ellis, Ramirez and Uribe, Hairston with Puig in center, Van Slyke in right. So the left-hand batters, people like Andre Ethier, will sit this one out. So the Dodgers on a roll since the 22nd of June. They've won 15 out of 18. They moved Puig, who's been exposed to all 3 outfield positions. He's coming off a rough night last night where he went 1 for 7 and struck out 3 times. But as he says, he doesn't care what happens with him individually as long as the Dodgers won, which they did, although it did take them 5 hours and 14 minutes to do it. So Chris Capuano is ready to pitch to Dexter Fowler, who's kind of a daddy long legs. He's 6'4", 185, and Dexter can really go and get him. Case in point, coming off the DL today, since World War II, the only player to record 50 career triples faster than Fowler was Gary Templeton, you may remember. And the first pitch in for a strike, 0-1. Dexter's from Alpharetta, Georgia, lives in Roswell, Georgia. 14th round pick 9 years ago by Colorado. Strike 1 pitch, Dexter takes low, and a 1-ball, 1-strike count. It is a warm, humid evening here in Los Angeles. The temperature at game time 76 degrees with a little smattering of rain or raindrops around the area, and very welcome it would be. 1-1 to count. Capuano ready, back he comes, fastball lifted into right field. Scott Van Slyke is there waiting, and one-hands it for the out, and we have 1 down. The Rockies, a formidable ball club, but they are 4 games under 500. However, they've had a lot of trouble on the road against left-hand pitching. Whether they have Carlos Gonzalez or Troy Tulowitzki or Todd Helton, the big names, they are 4-12 against left-handers when they're on the road. Here's Josh Rutledge. Rutledge, the second baseman, right-hand batter. He takes a strike, and the count 0-1. Rutledge will be followed by Carlos Gonzalez and then Troy Tulowitzki. Strike 1 pitch on the way. Rutledge way out in front of it. Doesn't get it. And the count 0-2 to Josh. Rutledge is from Coleman, Alabama. Played ball at the University of Alabama, and the Rockies drafted him in the 3rd round back in 2010. He takes strike 3 call. Fastball on the inside corner, and down goes Rutledge. So 2 out. An easy 2 outs for Capuano, but now comes big trouble, and that would be Carlos Gonzalez. In Gonzalez's great career, he's hit 14 home runs against the Dodgers. He's hit 16 against Arizona, and he has had 3 home runs against the Dodgers this year. Cargo, as they call him, batting .302, 24 home runs, 63 RBIs, as befits an all-star. So Gonzalez, left-hand hitter. Capuano into the windup, and the first pitch to Cargo is down and away, ball 1. Gonzalez has had a couple of physical problems. Number 1, just back of his left shoulder. He's had something bothering him. He also hurt a finger swinging the bat. The 1-0 pitch on the way. He has a big swing and a foul. 1-1. Gonzalez, a Gold Glover in 2010 and again in 2012. Signed a big contract in 2011 for 7 years. So he'll be with the Rockies a while. And he also hit for the Cycle in 2010. The 1-1 pitch, Cargo slings, hits it in the air to right. Then Slike started to go back, stays with it to make the catch, and down go the Rockies, 1-2-3. So at the end of half an inning, Colorado nothing, and the Dodgers coming up against Drew Pomeranz. And we can take a look at the Dodger lineup coming home after a very successful road trip that saw them win 7 of 9. Mark Ellis leads off at second base, and Yasiel Puig is in center field. Adrian Gonzalez at first, Hanley Ramirez the shortstop, Scott Van Slyke in right field, Juan Uribe at third. Gary Hairston in left, Tim Fedorovich behind the plate, Chris Capuano on the mound. On the mound for Colorado, 6'5", Drew Pomeranz. He lives in Oxford, Mississippi. That would be William Faulkner's country. He went to the University of Mississippi. Big left-hander, 0 for 2. Into his windup, and the first pitch to Mark Ellis, in for a strike, and we're underway. Early report, second inning, Milwaukee leading Arizona 2-0 on a home run by Jonathan LaCroix with a man aboard. Giovanni Gallardo over Wade Miley right now. The pitch swung on and foul back. So Mark Ellis with a no-ball, 2-strike count. Boy, was he unlucky last night. Robbed of a home run by Cody Ross. Robbed of a double or maybe a triple by A.J. Pollock. Nevertheless, Ellis still wound up with a couple of base hits. So Mark waiting, Pomeranz into the windup, and the strike 2 pitch is hit just fair. Inside first, down the line. Mark on his way to second and then thinks better of it. A strong throw from Kadaya holds him at first base. So Mark Ellis, a leadoff single against Drew Pomeranz. And the batter is Yasiel Puig. So Puig coming up against Pomeranz. You know how notorious he is about swinging at the first pitch. We'll see what he does now. Hitting .394, 8 home runs, 19 runs batted in. Making a start in center field for the first time this year. Pomeranz ready and delivers, and the fastball in there at the knees, and the count 0-1. Puig backs out for the moment, looking down to Tim Wallach, who's far away beyond the coaching box and third base. So Puig waits. Off the bag at first, Mark Ellis. First inning, no score. Pomeranz ready and delivers, and the breaking ball is low. His breaking ball is not just a curveball. It was a pitch that was taught to him, a knuckle curve, where the fingernails are in the ball, like a knuckler. And then he doesn't really twist the ball at all, but somehow he pushes it up there. The 1-1 pitch on the way. Pomeranz delivers, and that's low and inside. So 2-1 to count to Yasiel Puig. Drew Pomerantz and his brother Stuart learned more about pitching from their father, Mike Pomerantz, who was an infielder who played 4 years at Ole Miss. And it was his dad who taught them both how to throw the knuckle curve. 2-1 the count. Pomerantz at the belt, comes back to the plate, swung on, fouled away. He jammed Puig, and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. Pomerantz's older brother Stuart was drafted by the Cardinals in the 2nd round, pitched for 5 years in their farm system. Drew Pomerantz came up 2 years after he was drafted, actually about a year and a half. 2 balls and 2 strikes, the count to Yasiel Puig. Pomerantz delivers, little ground ball down to second. They'll get one. The throw to first is in time. Double play. The Yasiel Puig grounds into the double play here in the 1st inning. And with 2 down, the batter will be Adrian Gonzalez.
Adrian Gonzalez.
Adrian Gonzalez on a bobblehead night, hitting .300, 14 home runs, 58 runs batted in. Had a wonderful road trip where he hit 4 home runs, 3 of them in the rarefied air of Denver. So Adrian waiting, Pomerantz ready and deals, and the first pitch in for a strike, 0-1. So Adrian Gonzalez bobblehead night, and from the looks of it, a huge success. No balls and 1 strike to Adrian, hitting .300. He has a pitch bounce in the dirt in front of him. 1 ball and 1 strike. Adrian providing the Dodgers with clutch hitting with 14 home runs, 58 runs batted in. Now the 1-1 pitch on the way. Adrian skies it foul off to the left out of play. 1-2 the count. Interesting, the plate umpire tonight is Marty Foster. And Marty was born in Denver, lives in Wisconsin. He started umpiring in a summer league in Denver. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Here comes Pomerantz, and he works it down and away. The third base umpire tonight, we saw him for the first time over in Arizona. Those were the first 3 games he'd ever umpired in the big leagues, and he did a wonderful job last night in the 14-inning game as the plate umpire. Little fly ball, that's trouble. It's going to drop. So Adrian, a fly ball single with 2 out, and that will bring up Hanley Ramirez. Hanley Ramirez not only swinging the bat well, he is hitting the ball as hard as anybody we've seen in quite a while. Can you imagine? Since June the 19th, he's hit .464, and over that stretch, 7 home runs and 21 RBIs in 22 games. But I mean, he is blistering the ball. He hasn't had one of those Adrian Gonzalez base hits like tonight, little fly ball dunker. I mean, he has just killed the ball. So here's Hanley. Pomerantz delivers, and Hanley way out in front of it. 0-1 the count. Hanley Ramirez, in looking at his work this year, hitting .294 against left-hand pitching with 4 home runs. He has 4 against left and 4 against right. No balls and 1 strike to count. Pomerantz with 2 out looks at Gonzalez. Now the left-hander back, and a fastball is fouled away. 0-2 the count to Hanley Ramirez. Ramirez, you remember, had that 19-game hitting streak, but it was finally stopped. He hit the big home run last night, home run to right field to give the Dodgers a 6-5 lead. A.J. Ellis followed with a home run to left center, and the Dodgers won 7-5 in 5 hours and 14 minutes. And the next pitch fouled back, and Ramirez jammed. Though a good pitch in on the knuckles. No balls and 2 strikes. And looking at the Dodgers' work against Pomerantz and vice versa, Dodgers haven't seen much of the left-hander. Pomerantz out of a stretch, looks at Gonzalez, very short lead over there. Strike 2 pitch to Ramirez, swung on and foul back. So the battle continues here in the first inning. No score in the ball game. Drew Pomeranz, 6'5", 230. 24 years old. He'd be 25 near the end of November. And originally drafted by the Cleveland Indians in the first round. Came to Colorado in the Ubaldo Jimenez deal. The next one is lifted to left field and deep. Going back on the ball is Gonzalez. It is up against the fence, and somehow the Gold Glover in left field made the catch. What a play by Carlos Gonzalez. The ball would not have cleared the fence, but he just timed his jump perfectly and went up and made the catch. The ball otherwise would have hit the screen. Instead, Carlo hit the screen, and at the end of an inning, no score. The Dodgers and the Rockies. The Dodger record of late, remember they started 12 games under 500. Since then they've won 15 out of 18. They're scoring more. They're hitting better with runners in scoring position. They're getting better pitching, and they've had 3 4-game winning streaks. However, there wasn't very much they could do about Carlos Gonzalez, twice a Gold Glover, who made that magnificent catch to take an extra base hit away from Hanley Ramirez. So here is Troy Tulowitzki, another all-star, right-hand batter, and the breaking ball in for a strike. Tulo, one of those truly fortunate young men. He's been blessed. He signed to become a professional, first-round pick in 2005, went to Long Beach State, and 14 months later, he was playing in the big leagues. No lengthy time in the minors for Troy. Strike 1 pitch on the way. Tulo takes a strike. And the count 0-2. Tulowitzki has done great things for Colorado. Now Capuano trying to slow him down. Tulo's been on the DL. He had bad ribs. The strike 2 pitch on the way. Capuano works it up there, and it's swung on and missed. And down goes Tulo. Second strikeout for Chris Capuano. And the batter now will be Mike Kadire.
Right fielder, Michael Kadire.
So Kadire hitting .337, 15 home runs, 52 runs batted in. You may remember he had a 27-game hitting streak, and that snapped against the Dodgers in Denver. Kadire, the right-hand hitter waiting, has a look, in the first pitch a strike, and the count 0-1. Kadia's from Norfolk, Virginia, lives in Chesapeake, Virginia. Went to high school there and was originally drafted by the Minnesota Twins. Strike one, pitch on the way out in front of a changeup, and the count 0-2. So Chris Capuano trying to do what he did when he first came off the DL. Remember that magnificent 6 innings he turned in against the Yankees when he failed to walk a batter. The next pitch reached for a little ground ball to Ramirez. He throws on the run to get him. So down goes Kadir. Nice play by Hanley. And we have 2 out here in the second inning.
Catcher number 20, Willie Rosario.
Willen Rosario willing to go behind the plate, and that's been his job. And Rosario coming up now. 2 out, bases empty, top of the second inning. Rosario is from Bonao in the Dominican Republic, signed as a free agent by the Rockies. Last year as a rookie, all he did was hit 28 home runs. Right now he has 13, 45 runs batted in, and hitting .277. Capuano into the windup and delivers, breaking ball, but misses ball 1. Just one of the many reasons to come on out here during this 4-game series. Take a look at people like Kadir and Ramirez. Mike Kadir had a 27-game streak. Henley Ramirez a 19, and both still hot. The next pitch swung on and missed. Rosario way out in front of it. 1-1. Hanley robbed of an extra base hit on that great play as he gestures to Juan Uribe. They have a running conversation during the game and really stay loose. 1 ball and 1 strike. Capuano ready. Back he comes. That swung on and missed. And the count 1-2. So Chris Capuano trying to turn things around. 1-4 with an earned run average of 9 here at Dodger Stadium. That just doesn't make sense. One ball and 2 strikes to the catcher, Willen Rosario, who has to pull away. Pitch way inside. 2-2. Willen 5'11", 200-pounder. He's only 24. Right-hander signed in 2006 and made it up 2 years ago. The 2-2 pitch on the way. Capuano delivers, missed low and inside. And the count runs full. 3-2. On deck, one of the great players, not only in Colorado history, but certainly in the National League, Todd Helton. Capuano ready in the 3-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. Bad ball way outside of the strike zone. So Capuano really fooled Rosario, and down he goes. 3 strikeouts for Cap, and at the end of an inning and a half, no score. and Rockies, game one of a 4-game series, and Sunday by sundown, that will be the end of the so-called first half. After Sunday's game, the All-Star break. The Dodgers, when the break is over, will go to the Washington Nationals and then go to Toronto before coming home to play the Cincinnati Reds. The Dodgers not only playing Cincinnati for 4, but there'll be a 2-game series with the New York Yankees. And then the Dodgers will go back out on the road again. Bottom of the second, no score. Scott Van Slyke, Juan Uribe, and Jerry Hairston against a left-hander, Drew Pomeranz, who was fortunate. He gave up 2 singles and then that tremendous catch by Carlos Gonzalez. So Van Slyke, 1 for 2 last night. Into the windup goes Pomeranz, and the first pitch down and away. Ball 1. 1-0. The Rockies have won 26 games within the Western Division. That's better than any other team in any other division. The pitch to Van Slyke, in for a strike. How they've done it? Well, they beat San Diego 10 of 13, winning 5 of the 6 in San Diego. Walt's club has struggled a little bit, however, against the Giants. Van Slyke takes a strike. They are 6-7 against San Francisco. They are 5-8 against Arizona, but they do have an edge against the Dodgers, 5 games to 4. Van Slyke takes, and it's strike 3 call. So Scott slowly walking back as Pomeranz picks up a K, 1 away, and the batter will be Juan Uribe. Rockies have done okay here at Dodger Stadium. They've won 2 out of 3 here. There is one note about the Rockies that's very interesting. If the opponent scores first against Colorado, the Rockies are 0-20. When the Rockies score first on the road, they are 18-7. And the pitch to Uribe is inside, ball 1, 1-0. Uribe, who's been swinging a pretty solid bat all year for the Dodgers, hitting .272. Pomeranz into the windup, delivers, and it's fouled away. Uribe, 5 home runs. He carries that number on his back. 28 runs batted in. Dodgers haven't seen much of Pomeranz. Uribe has never batted against him. Gonzalez is 2 for 3 against him. And the 1-1 pitch on the way. Fastball low. 2-1 the count. The Dodgers will send Clayton Kershaw to the mound tomorrow night. Zach Greinke will pitch Saturday afternoon. And then Ricky Nolasco will pitch Sunday. 2-1 pitch on the way, and Uribe backs off. It's a little high. 3-1 the count to Juan. No score, bottom of the second inning. Uribe waiting with Hairston on deck. 3-1 pitch, swung on and foul back. Uribe 1 for 4. He got into the game yesterday a little bit late. Had that huge game Friday night with 7 runs batted in against the Giants. 3-2 pitch is swung on, little flare, foul, heading towards the visiting dugout, lands on the roof. Kangaroos back up about 10 rows. A beautiful stadium, a beautiful evening, and just about a full house. It's a sellout. Game 1 of the 4. 3-2 the count. Pomeranz ready. The pitch to Uribe. Ground ball up the middle into center field for a base hit. So the Dodgers last night had themselves a lot of base hits. In fact, when you realize they had 42 hits in the 3 games in Arizona, now they come back and they've had 3 hits so far in an inning and a third tonight. However, last night they were leaving so many men on base. So Uribe with a base hit up the middle, and the hitter now, Jerry Hairston. Hairston got into the game last night walked and fouled out. Doing very well against the Rockies, hitting .500. Pomerantz at the belt, delivers, and the first pitch is high. Ball 1, 1-0. Hairston overall hitting in the 260s, 1 home run, 11 runs batted in. He'll play almost anywhere, especially third base and left field. No score, bottom of the second inning. 1 away. The 1-0 pitch, Hairston pulls away. It's in at the shins. 2 balls and no strikes. On deck, Tim Fedorovich. So the Dodger catcher hitting 8th in the lineup, waiting on deck. Hairston back up. Count his way. 2 balls and no strikes. Pomerantz ready. 6'5" left-hander to the plate. Fastball is whacked down the left field line, just over the bag and in the corner. Gonzalez over to pick it up. Rounding third, heading for home is Uribe. He's going to be out, and the throw is a run where the tag is missed. And Uribe is in because the ball was dropped by Willen Rosario. He was going to be out by a good 5 feet, and Rosario failed to hold on to the throw. So the Dodgers score first. A double down the line. Carlos Gonzalez over to play the carom off the wall. Fired into his cutoff man. The throw was there waiting. The tag was on, and the ball just squirted out. So the Dodgers get a big break and lead 1-0. So the Dodgers are fortunate will repeat on the road this year when the opponents score first. The Rockies are 0-20, and the Dodgers have scored first and getting a big break. So 1-0 Dodgers. Hairston at second base, and here's Fedorovich, and he takes the strike. So Hairston doubles in the corner. No error on the play. 1-0 Dodgers. Hairston taking his lead. Pomerantz set. The strike 1 pitch on the way. Pomerantz to the plate, and the pitch is high. 1 ball and 1 strike. So Hairston hitting .500 against the Rockies, doubles in his first at bat tonight against them, and now Fedorovich trying to pick him up. Tim, right-hand hitting catcher, has the nickname FedEx, and the 1-1 pitch coming up. Pomerantz at the belt. Left-hander's fastball is high and away. Ball 2, 2-1. So Juan Uribe huffing and puffing, but he's in the dugout with a run thanks to the fact that the tag got away from Willen Rosario. Now Puig over to tease him, I'm sure. 2-1 the count. Time, Fedorovich backing out. Basically the book on Pomerantz, fastball up to 95. He has that knuckle curveball and a changeup. Fedorovich waiting, and the 2-1 pitch. Pomerantz looks back at Hairston. Now the pitch to Fedorovich, that's in for a strike, and the count 2-2. Waiting on deck is Chris Capuano. And you may know that the Dodger pitchers have been doing very well of late with the bat. Time for the moment. Rosario going out to talk to Pomerantz. Dodgers lead 1 run, 4 hits, 1 out, bottom of the second inning. Dodgers already had Ellis single, Gonzalez single, Uribe single, and Hairston with the double. The Jerry taking his lead. Not much that the shortstop Tulowitzki can do. It's up to Rutledge to try to hold him on at second. The 2-2 pitch is swung on and fouled away. Hairston coming not quite halfway to third, but he sure came down the line a bit on that pitch to Fedorovich. 2-2 the count. Now the pitch to Fedorovich. Swung on, fouled away. In fact, missed, and down he goes. Here comes Capuano, and we're talking about Dodger pitchers. Remember, Ricky Nolasco went 2 for 2 in his Dodger debut. Zach Greinke went 3 for 3. So it's been nearly 20 years since a team starting pitchers combined to go 5 for 5 or better, and each record a win in consecutive games. Last time, Tim Pugh and John Smiley for the 1994 Cincinnati Reds. So here's Capuano, and he takes a strike, and the count 0-1. Two out, second inning, 1-0 Dodgers. Caught a break. Uribe was definitely dead meat, and Rosario dropped the throw. Actually caught the throw and then dropped the tag. Capuano, fooled by a pitch, spins around, and a no-ball, 2-strike count. 1 run, 4 hits for the Dodgers, nothing across. Capuano has struck out 3 of the 6 he has faced. It is a clean-shaven, boyish-looking Capuano. So he's going the opposite against the trend. Strike 2 pitch on the way. Cappy waits. Pomeranz delivers. Fastball gets him swinging, and that's that. So for Pomeranz, he winds up striking out the side. But Rosario makes the bad play. Dodgers take advantage of it, and at the end of 2, lead 1-0. A reminder, Sunday at 1:10, Dodgers and Rockies, and the first 40,000 fans in attendance take home a Puig t-shirt, compliments of Time Warner Cable. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. 1-0 in favor of the Dodgers as we go to the third. Milwaukee leading Arizona right now, 3-0 in the bottom of the fourth. Gallardo has allowed 1 hit early on. Wade Miley has allowed home runs to Carlos Gomez and Jonathan LaCroix. LaCroix's home run was a monster. It landed, they tell me, in the balcony in dead center field. It's about 407 at the base of the wall, but to hit it up in the balcony, that's got to be quite a shot. Talking about quite a shot, here's one of the great players, Todd Helton. They came up with the Rockies in 1997 and still swinging away, hitting .245. He has a half a dozen home runs. Capuano looks in to get a sign, and into the third inning we go. The left-hander ready, and the pitch to Helton. Todd swings, doesn't get it, and the count 0-1. Todd Helton, all of a sudden, it's hard to believe, born in 1973. signed a 9-year deal, and that deal has run out. I remember when he signed it, you figured you'd never see the end of it. Breaking ball off the plate. The 9-year deal went through 2012, and it was worth, if I remember, $141 million. And then he got an extension, and here he is. And baseball is the better for it. 1-1 the count to Todd Helton. Capuano deals, and that's foul back. Only 5 players in Major League history possess a .325 batting average, .400 on-base percentage, .570 slugging percentage in his career. Todd Helton is one of 5. Who are they? Lou Gehrig, Albert Pujols, Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, and Todd. So 1-2 the count to the Pride in Knoxville and the University of Tennessee, and he fouls another one back. He has long ago made his home in Denver. Back a while, the year 2000, Todd had 42 home runs and 147 runs batted in. The next year, he hit 49 and had 146 runs batted in. Swings, rolls one foul off to the right of the plate. So he's still there. 1-2. Helton, when you talk to him about as a kid, did you have any favorite players? And he said a couple of them were Rod Carew and Don Mattingly. Bird's eye view as we wait for Helton and Capuano to hook up. The 1-2 pitch on the way, swung on, fouled at the plate, though Todd is still there. Capuano has struck out 3. Pomeranz struck out the side in the second inning. But the Dodgers lead 1-0. And remember, Milwaukee is winning, beating Arizona 3-0. Dodgers trail Arizona at the moment by a game and a half. Capuano looks into Fedorovich to get the sign. Helton waits. And the 1-2 pitch to Todd. Fastball grounded by the diving Uribe and into left field. So the same old Helton. He just waits a while, fouls off some pitches, gets usually deep in the count, and then comes up with a base hit to left field. And the batter is Nolan Arenado. All he did was just go with the pitch, not fight it, and hit it by Uribe. So Todd Helton, the 40-year-old Todd Helton, believe it or not, standing at first, and Nolan Arenado at the plate. Noli from Lake Forest, California, went to El Toro High School. Second round pick by the Rockies, 2009. Nolan takes low, ball 1. Arenado is 6'1", 210. Only 22 years old. So Arenado waiting at the plate. He's hit as many as 20 home runs in the minors. So he has some sock way out in front of an off-speed pitch. 1 ball and 1 strike. This year, Arenado was named the #1 prospect in the Rockies farm system, and here he is. 2 years ago, he led all of the minor leagues. He had 122 runs batted in. So Arenado, right-hand batter. And the 1-1 pitch on the way, a change, hit in the air to right center. Puig moving over, picks it off. Now guns it back to first base on the fly to Gonzalez. But Helton back to the bag easily. So Arenado, a fly ball to center, 1 away. And the batter, Drew Pomeranz. Pomeranz has only had 1 at bat. 0 for 1. He's also sacrificed ones, but not a bad hitter. .219 in his career with a home run. So Capuano with 1 out in the third, leading 1-0, and Pomeranz checking in. Now Pomeranz backs out, the timeout for the moment. And now they're ready. Uribe plays in on the grass. Dodgers figure Pomeranz try to bunt Helton to second. He shows bunt, tries to bunt, fouls it, and the count 0-1. So Pomerantz tried to help himself, push the runner up a notch. Stu Cole coaching at third, hanging out a sign. 0-1 the count to Drew Pomerantz. And timeout. He backs out. I think time was called by Tim Fedorovic. Tim looking over in the Dodger dugout before giving the signs. Throw over there. Helton doesn't figure to do any running, but nevertheless, they just want him to know they're aware of his presence. He's not been involved in a stolen base. Rene Latchman is the first base coach over there, but he's way out of the box. A breaking ball in for a strike, and the count 0-2. Rene Latchman. He's had quite a story. Rene, a Los Angeles boy. Would you believe at one time he was the bat boy for the Dodgers in the Coliseum? Yep. His brother Marcel, a tremendously respected pitching coach. 0-2 in the dirt. Nice block by Fedorovic. Helton still holding his ground at first. We're in the third. Dodgers lead 1-0. Rockies have had a lot of trouble against left-handers on the road. Rockies are 4-12 against left-hand starters away from Denver. Now the 1-2 pitch. Pomerantz shows bunt, tries to, bunts it foul, and he has struck out. So that's the fourth strikeout for Capuano. And with 2 out, Helton at first. The batter is Dexter Fowler. So Daddy Longlegs coming up to the plate. He reminds me so much of Gary Maddox, who used to play center field for the Phillies. Same build, tremendous range. 2 out, third inning, 1-0 Dodgers. Fowler hits one right at the shortstop, and Hanley makes the catch, and that's that. Line drive out, no runs, 1 hit, a man left. At the end of 2.5 innings, 1-0 Dodgers. Don't forget Saturday, after the game with the Rockies at 4:15, the Dodgers will hold a special screening of the film 42 on the new high-definition video screen. For tickets and more information, visit Dodgers.com/42. Bottom of the third, 1-0 Dodgers. Juan Uribe out at the plate on a great relay started by Cargo in left field, only to have Willen Rosario make the tag and then the ball spin out of his mitt. Cargo earlier had made a tremendous catch of a ball hit by Hanley Ramirez. So the Dodgers have taken a break, leading 1-0 and trying to add to it here in the third inning. Mark Ellis, Yasiel Puig, and then Adrian Gonzalez. Fastball in, ball one. Ellis singled to right in the first inning, but Puig followed by hitting into a double play. Wow, all the years go by. Mark Ellis now playing in 1,300 games as of tonight. Two 2-0 the count to Mark. Of course, Todd Helton has played a few more. Wonder just how many. It would take a while to add up Helton. 2-1 the count. Helton started to play in 1997 and has really never stopped. 2-1 pitch is high, ball 3. 3-1. Helton several times played as many as 160 games. He's played a lot of 159. That's line foul. So 3-2 the count. I guess we'll have to get a little computer and just figure out how many games Todd Helton has played. This year, he's been in 64 games. 2,187 games with the Rockies. Wow. And there's ball 4 to Ellis. So Pomeranz walks his first man. Yasiel Puig grounded into a double play in the first inning. So 0 for 1. He was 1 for 7 last night. And he was 1 for 3 the game before. So he is 2 for 11. Piled up 56 hits, batting .392. Pomeranz out of his stretch decides to go to first. Mark Ellis jumping back on the bag. Mark Ellis has 3 stolen bases. 3 for 3 as he's held on by Helton. 1-0 Dodgers trying to get more here in the third. Pomeranz delivers, and the slow breaking ball, I think that was the knuckle curve, in there for a strike, and the count 0-1. His dad taught him when he was about 12 years old to throw that pitch. 0-1 the count to Puig. Yasiel takes very high. 1 ball and 1 strike. When Puig grounded into the double play, and checking his numbers, first double play that he has grounded into. 1-1 the Yasiel. Pomeranz ready, back he comes, and the fastball is low. 2-1. So Puig looking down to get a message from Tim Wallach. Mark Ellis inching off the bag at first. Puig has been such a wild kind of a swinger, it's hard to think they put a play on. We'll see. Ellis is not going, and is a line drive base hit into right field. And Mark Ellis stops at second base. So Yasiel Puig single to right. The Dodgers in business now. First and second, nobody out, and the batter will be Adrian Gonzalez. Yasiel not overstriding, keeping his hands inside the ball. That's what the hitters always talk about. And a line drive single to right is the product. So 2 on, nobody out. Gonzalez, Ramirez, and Van Slyke trying to add to a 1-0 lead. Gonzalez, little fly ball single in the first inning. Dodgers 1 run, 5 hits. Pomeranz at the belt, 6'5" left-handed fastball fouled away. And as you look up at the foul ball, your eyes absolutely captivated by the sky at sunset time, like pink smoke. Thank goodness, far happier than smoke. The haze as the sun settles in the west. Magnificent background here to the ball game. 0-1 to Adrian Gonzalez. Pomerantz again ready. A check of the runners. And the strike one pitch. Adrian punches it down to the shortstop on the bag. And throw to first by Tulowitzki. And the Dodgers hit into their second double play. Ellis advances to third. And the batter will be Hanley Ramirez. So a 6-3 double play as Tulo took it to the bag and then made the throw. So here's Hanley Ramirez, robbed of an extra base hit on that sensational catch by Carlos Gonzalez out there in left field. Carlos banging into the grill work of the bullpen gate. It would not have been a home run, but it might very well have scored Gonzalez because he was going with 2 out. Dodgers got a break, eventually got a run, lead 1-0. Pomerantz now with a runner at third, and we'll check. He does not have a wild pitch. And the Rockies decide, why mess around with Hanley Ramirez? Let's just put him aboard. So Ramirez will get the intentional walk. And in a moment, Scott Van Slyke, who struck out in his first at-bat, will be coming up. Pomerantz, in his brief work, 0-2. Coming into the game, had walked 9 and struck out 7. So it's always a headache for a manager to ask a pitcher to walk somebody intentionally when he's walking a lot unintentionally. But in this case, they feel it's far better to get rid of Ramirez and take their best shot against Van Slyke. Walt Weiss doing a tremendous job as the manager of the Rockies. So Weiss at the helm, replacing Jim Tracy, and he has his ball club 3.5 games behind Arizona coming into this game. Scott Van Slyke checking in. Van Slyke came into the game hitting .243. He has 6 home runs. He also has 6 doubles, and he also has 6 singles. First pitch, roller down to Tulowitzki. He'll feed his second baseman Rutledge. So the Dodgers doing really what they did over in Arizona. They have 5 hits. They've had men on base in every inning, and they're lucky to have the run they have. And at the end of 3, lead 1-0. Time now for our Twitter poll. How about this one? Who was your favorite Dodger All-Star MVP? Would it be Maury Wills in Washington, D.C., or Steve Garvey, or Don Sutton, or Mike Piazza in Philadelphia? Hashtag Wills and the date 62, Garvey 74-78, Sutton 1977, Piazza 1996, and we'll check the results. Interesting. Steve Garvey attending the ball game tonight, sitting quietly. Into the fourth inning, 1-0 in favor of the Dodgers. Josh Rutledge, followed by Carlos Gonzalez, and then Troy Tulowitzki. No balls and one strike to Josh, who struck out in the second inning. Last year, solid year. Trying to adjust this year. That, of course, happens. That's part of the whole story. Can you adjust? 1-1. Rutledge, big man on campus. He was All-State at Alabama. Then played in the Cape Cod League, where a lot of the good college players in the East and Southeast go. 1-1. Pass ball and a fly ball. Puig moving over to his right. So Rutledge a fly ball and Carlos Gonzalez coming up. Capuano has allowed one hit. Todd Helton single to left. Now he's got Cargo. Gonzalez feeling well to get 24 home runs already. But as we mentioned, he's had a problem, a muscular problem behind his left shoulder. And he's also had a bad finger. Hitting .301 with all of his physical problems. Gonzalez and Tulowitzki, two young players, signed lengthy contracts, and they're going to be around a while. Just off the plate, 2-0 the count. Cargo's from Venezuela, from Maracaibo. His mom worked in the insurance business. His father was an auto mechanic. 2 balls, no strikes. Fastball down the pipe, 2-1. Gonzalez this year at home has 11 home runs, 39 runs batted in, hitting .280. On the road, 13 home runs, 24 RBIs, hitting .325. So he doesn't need the rarefied air of Denver. And probably smokes this one into right field. Mark Ellis so near and yet so far. So Gonzalez, a line drive single to right, and that will bring up Tulowitzki.
Shortstop number 2.
News out of Arizona. Remember, we told you that the Brewers were leading 3-0. Diamondbacks have Adam Eaton, the center fielder, come up with a 2-run triple in the 5th. So the Brewers are holding on to a 3-2 lead at the end of 5. Mark Ellis looking over to Hanley Ramirez, figuring out who will cover if Cargo runs. And here's Tulo, the pride of Long Beach State. First thing they do is look in the direction of Carlos. Gonzalez has stolen 15 out of 16. I mean, he does everything in a marvelous way. Troy Tulowitzki hit as many as 32 home runs for the Rockies. Off speed pitch in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Tulo was born in Santa Clara, lives in Sunnyvale. wears number 2 for one big reason. His favorite player, Gary Jeter of the Yankees. He means so much to the Rockies. Way out in front, 0-2. Tulowitzki back in 2007 had most home runs by a rookie shortstop, second most ever. Only Nomar Garciaparra hit 30, hit more. Tulo hit 24. 0-2. Throw to first. Cargo back on the bag. One out in the fourth. Dodgers lead 1-0. Tulowitzki is 6'3", a good 215. He'll be 29 in October. In the dirt. New ball put in play. 1-2 the count. We'll check and see about Capuano and Tulowitzki. Tulo 5 for 11 and 2 home runs against him. Capuano also keeping an eye on Gonzalez. The 1-2 pitch swung on, grounded foul outside of third and down the line. Tulowitzki, when he plays shortstop, will also show you one of the stronger arms in the league. In fact, when he was in college at Long Beach State, the scouts would clock his throw, and he'd throw 94 miles an hour. As a rookie shortstop, he had the best fielding percentage all time as a rookie. 1-2. Curveball missed. Tulowitzki also hit for a cycle back in 2009 against the Cubs. Of course, we left Arizona. You want to talk about hitting for the cycle. Aaron Hill, their fine second baseman. He not only hit for one cycle, he hit 2 cycles in 11 days. A bicycle. 2-2. Way out in front. And Tulo goes down. Looking fastball and got anything but. Utters the word that blocks water. 2 down. So Tulo has struck out twice. 5 strikeouts for Chris Capuano. And the batter is Michael Kadire. Grounded to short in the second inning. Kadire does very well, an all-star for a second time. He was a star with the Twins. And he also runs well. Covers a lot of ground in right field. Fouled away. 0-1 the count to Kadire. Michael looking down to Stu Cole. Carlos Gonzalez held on by Adrian Gonzalez. 0-2 the count. So Capuano so far doing a great job of getting the hitters to swing and miss. No balls and 2 strikes to Kadire. In the dirt, good block. Mike Kadire wore number 5 in Minnesota, but he changed the number to number 3 in honor of the longtime Twin Harmon Killebrew. So when he came over to Colorado, he asked for the same number, and he got it. Came up to the Twins back in 2001. 6'2", 220. Carries a big stick. 1-2. Well, with 2 out, they're worrying about Carlos Gonzalez. Well, they should. As we mentioned, He has stolen 15 out of 16. So said one Gonzalez to another over there. 1 and 2. We're wondering about a pitch out. Capuano checking. Cargo's not going, and Kadaya strikes out. That's a half a dozen strikeouts for Chris Capuano. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. At the end of 3.5, 1-0 Dodgers. By Farmer Boys. Get an award-winning Farmer's Burger topped with farm fresh veggies, cheese, bacon, and avocado. By Chase. Manage your account on the go whenever and wherever you want. The Chase mobile app. So you can. And by El Pollo Loco. Crazy you can taste. Aerial coverage of tonight's game brought to you by the Minions flying the Despicable and Universal's animated comedy Despicable Me 2, now playing everywhere. In the 4th inning, 1-0 Dodgers. Juan Uribe takes ball 1. Uribe singled. Capuano has made only 53 pitches. Interesting, there have been 13 swings and misses at his pitches in 4 innings. He has struck out a half a dozen, and this is the kind of a game he was pitching when he first came off the DL. No walks, constant 1 strike after another. Meanwhile, Uribe has the count his way, 3-0. Former Rocky, White Sox, Giant, and Dodger. So ball 4, Juan Uribe will open up with Hairston to follow. Ramirez was walked intentionally in the 3rd inning. So that's the 2nd walk given up by Pomeranz. Hairston doubled down in the left field corner. Uribe with 1 out tried to score and would have been out by a couple of feet easily. Rosario put the tag on him only to have the ball come out of his glove, and the Dodgers had the run. There goes Uribe. Change. The throw is too late. Juan Uribe got a reasonable jump, but he was really fortunate because he ran on a changeup. And that's the difference at second base between a changeup and a fastball. And so Uribe steals a base. Believe it or not, that's his 2nd stolen base. He's 2-0. So Uribe now asked to be picked up. Hairston and Fedorovich trying to do it. And a strike. Jerry doubled down the left field line in the second inning. One ball and one strike. Little high, ball two. 2-1 to Jerry. Dodgers 1 run, 5 hits, no errors. Rockies no runs, 2 hits, no errors, but the big play, Rosario letting the tag get away. Two balls, one strike. In the dirt. Great save by Rosario. 3-1 to count. Drew Pomeranz trying to keep Uribe at second base. Almost threw one away. But as we mentioned earlier, he does not have a wild pitch. But he came awfully close. 3-1 to Jerry. He'll be seeing his brother when the Dodgers go to Washington right after the All-Star break. And ball 4. His brother Scott was traded from the Cubs to Washington. So Pomeranz has now walked 3, and with 2 on and nobody out, there'll be time and a meeting at the mound. Jim Wright is out there holding court. Jim has been in the Rockies organization for 17 years. He was the club's pitching coach in 2002, went away and came back. He's as big as Pomeranz. Jim is 6'5". All right, Pomeranz with 2 on, nobody out. Tim Fedorovich followed by Chris Capuano. The Dodgers are right at the 500 mark. They played 90 games, 45-45. They have to be a little wary about being at the 500 mark because the last time they were 13-13 and lost 8 straight. Mattingly, forgetting all about that, has his club winning 15 of the last 18, 12 of the last 14 against the West, with Ramirez, Gonzalez, and others really carrying the load. 1-1. Fastball down at the knees. Of course, that's the thing about being so tall. Pomeranz 6'5", standing on a 10-inch mound, pitching right down at you. 1 ball and 1 strike. Fedorovich hitting 195. Struck out in the second inning. Dodgers getting men on base and not doing much about it after. They've hit into 2 double plays. That's really slowed them down. And ball 2. Dodgers had 2 base hits in the first inning. They had a single and a double for a run in the second inning. They had a single and another double play, and now 2 walks. Puig hit into a double play in the first inning. So Dodgers spinning their wheels, and yet because of the tag that got away, they lead 1-0. And now it's ball 3. So Pomeranz in danger of walking the bases full. We told you coming in, he had walked more than he had struck out, and that's always a dangerous sign. He's walked 4, so that would be 13 walks, 10 strikeouts. And ball 4. So Fedorovich draws the walk. It started with Uribe walk, a stolen base, and now back-to-back walks, and they're loaded up. 4 walks. Bullpen not moving around yet, but I'm sure they'll get a call very shortly. Capuano, meanwhile, will be coming up. He struck out. Jim Wright on the phone. We can also tell you that Jason Kubel, scoring fly ball in the 6th inning, has tied it up. Brewers 3, Diamondbacks 3 at the end of 6. So the Dodgers have 5 hits, 4 walks, and 1 run. Capuano 0 for 1, the infield in double play depth. Uribe, Hairston, and Fedorovich out there. And ball 1. One ball and no strikes. And that's in there. Manny Corpus gets up down in the bullpen. Pomeranz in some trouble here. Bases loaded, nobody out. 1-1 to Capuano. 1-2. Well, sometimes when you have a pitcher up here like this, the best thing you can hope for, he doesn't mess up, doesn't hit into a double play. Though if he strikes out, it's almost a bonus. 1-2. I remember so many times we've had the question, and we finally asked Tony La Russa about it. We asked Tony, would there be times in this kind of a situation where you would tell the pitcher, I don't want you to swing. In fact, I demand that you take. He said many, many times. So that's not bad. Capuano did not hurt the offense, as pitchers so often do. Pomeranz picking up his 4th strikeout. And now here's Mark Ellis. Single to right and walk. Uribe, Hairston, and Fedorovich all out there. Slow breaking ball for a strike. You know, we're talking about pitchers messing up. Once in a while you have a pitcher doing a great job with the bat, and the Rockies have one. Tyler Chatwood. 0-1 the count to Mark Ellis. Fastball fouled away. Chatwood is not only 8 for 23, that gives him a .348 batting average, but would you believe, there he is taken in the game. With runners in scoring position, Tyler Chatwood is hitting .545, 6 for 11 with runners in scoring position. So once in a while you get a gem. 0-2 to Ellis. And ground ball to the hole, base hit. In comes Uribe. Here's Hairston. The throw is cut off. They've got Fedorovich tagged out between second and third, but the Dodgers pick up 2 on the base hit and lead 3-0. Mark Ellis, another clutch base hit. He has 2 singles and a walk. So his second hit, 2 runs batted in, got a good breaking ball, went down to get it, and drives in Uribe and Hairston with Fedorovich cut down. Strong throw, cut off, and the tag applied by Arenado. So here comes Puig. 2 out, 2 in. Dodgers lead 3-0. Puig has grounded into a double play and single to right. Fastball strike, 0-1. change away. 1 ball and 1 strike. Yasiel hitting .396. 2 out. Ellis at first, having knocked in 2 runs. Fastball 1-2. Yasiel has piled up 57 hits. 57 hits. That's 36 games. Fastball away. 2-2. Puig so aggressive with the bat. Has only walked 7 times. Striking out 5 times as much. And the deuce is wild here. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out and 2 in. Little roller. Bare hand effort. Arenado can't do it. And Puig is aboard. So sometimes you hit a line drive right at somebody. And then sometimes you get away with a little dribbler. Arenado had to try and bare hand and throw, and he couldn't do it. It'll be a base hit. So Puig 2 for 3 with that gift. And the batter, Adrian Gonzalez. So 2 on, 2 out. Dodgers 3 runs on 7 hits. No runs, 2 hits for Colorado. Oh, and 1 to Gonzalez. Adrian single to left, grounded into a double play. 1 for 2. Hitting .302, 14 home runs, 58 runs batted in. Gonzalez is playing in his 88th game, which means he has only missed 3 games. Fastball fouled away. No balls and 2 strikes. Pomeranz hitting .91 with his fastball. His fastball occasionally clocked as high as 95. And that's fouled away. That was a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. Drew Pomeranz came from Cleveland in the deal that sent Ubaldo Jimenez to Cleveland. 2 on, 2 runs in, 2 out. And a little high, ball 1. Adrian started his swing and held up. Earlier in the year when they were getting Gonzalez out, he was swinging at that pitch, up. One and 2. On the hands, pulled right over the bag, and it goes foul. It's Tim McClellan on the line at first. McClellan, 31 years in the majors, and over at third, just starting his career, Trip Gibson, who has now appeared in 4 major league games. That's a pretty good coupling. You can just imagine McClellan advising Gibson. What a lengthy career. Dodgers have 7 hits, and 5 of them have come on 2 strikes. So we'll see what Adrian does. 1 and 2. Foul back. Mark Ellis, who singled to right in the first inning, and single to left in the fourth to drive in two. Mark Ellis, both of his hits came on no ball, 2-strike counts. Two on, two out, two in. Dodgers lead 3-0. Gonzalez 1 for 2 at the plate. And lines it to left. Here comes Cargo to make the catch. He is everywhere. A two-time Gold Glover, and will probably win another. But it is Mark Ellis who comes up the key hit, and at the end of 4, 3-0 Dodgers. Inning, piling up 7 hits against Drew Pomeranz. Meanwhile, Chris Capuano doing very well. The Dodgers started 9-23 against the National League West, and you wondered, well, how in the world can a ball club win the division when they're playing so poorly against the division? Well, the Dodgers have turned that around. They are 12-2 since, and they've won 4 straight series within the National League West. They had a great road trip, remember. They started in Colorado and won 2 out of 3, went to San Francisco and won 2 out of 3, and for good measure wound up in Arizona and won 3 straight. So go west, young man, go west. And in this case, it's Don Mattingly leading the Dodgers. In the 5th inning, Rosario, Helton, and Arenado in that order. Willen Rosario struck out in the 2nd inning. Ground ball to the left of Hanley. He smothers it, double clutches, and throws him out. If there's one thing that you do in playing shortstop is try to get rid of the ball in a hurry. Ramirez takes that little extra time, and I don't mean when he's just diving at the ball, but on any ground ball, see that little hesitation? I believe what he's doing is trying to spin the ball and get the seams so he can make a more accurate throw. Look at there. Yeah, I think that's what he does. Some shortstops fall into a terrible idea or a habit of looking at the ball almost like a showboat. Hanley doesn't do that. He doesn't field it and look at it. 1 away. Because whatever you do, you had better bring a strong arm if you're going to spin that ball before you throw it. Who has the best arm I ever saw at shortstop? Remember Sean Dunston with the Cubs? One and one to Todd. Over 2,400 hits, over 2,100 games. Fastball on the corner. 1-2. Helton with 2 strikes. Single to left field in the 3rd inning. He was the quarterback in Tennessee. Remember that story? And then Peyton Manning came along, and he decided his future was in baseball. It was a great decision. 1-2. Chase, down he goes. 7 strikeouts for Chris Capuano with 2 out in the 5th. A reminder, after the game with the Rockies at 7:10, you can enjoy a 70s themed Friday night fireworks show presented by Denny. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. And for good measure, you'll take a look at an all-star pitcher, because tomorrow night Clayton Kershaw will be on the mound. Here's Nolan Arenado. Could not handle the ball by Puig. A desperate measure, but couldn't barehand it. Nolan flied to center in the 3rd inning. Strike. 0-1. On deck, Drew Pomeranz is due up, but he's not going to come up. Jordan Pacheco suddenly comes out on deck. So Manny Corpus has been throwing in the bullpen. 0-2. Boy, there have been a lot of swings and misses, haven't they? Earlier, I know there were 13. That number's gone up. No balls, 2 strikes. Reached for and fouled away. Nolan couldn't have done much with that pitch except foul it off. The swings and misses are now up to 15. Pretty fancy puppies there for Chris Capuano. No balls and 2 strikes. Showing the fastball up. That's 91. Chris Capuano, Phi Beta Kappa at Duke University. Twice undergoing Tommy John surgery. One and two. Ground ball up the middle for a base hit. So Pacheco will be coming up. Jordan batting for Pomeranz. So Pomeranz went 4, got wild, gave up a couple, and comes out.
Attention, please, for the Rockies.
Gets a little pat on the back down there in the dugout. Jordan Pacheco is basically a contact hitter. "36 strikeouts, 48 strikeouts. In the big leagues, 9 strikeouts. So expect him to hit the ball. Jordan's out of Albuquerque. Went to the University of New Mexico, and that's ball 1. Pacheco, a middle infielder, 6'1", 190, 27 years old. At first base, Nolan Arenado with his base hit. 1-0 the count to Jordan Pacheco. Ground ball to third. Uribe. That'll be that. No runs, 1 hit, a man left. Another fine inning by Capuano to give the bullpen a rest. And it's still 3-0 Dodgers. In case you missed it or for your pleasure to look at it again, Hanley Ramirez in the first inning hit what looked like an extra base hit, except for the presence of Cargo. A leaping catch as he slams into the gate, held onto the ball, and then dropped down on the field. Marvelous play by Carlos Gonzalez. Two-time a Gold Glover, and you can understand why. And now Hanley Ramirez coming up. Hanley, besides being robbed of a hit last time up, they took away an at-bat. They walked him intentionally. New pitcher, Manny Corpus. You can imagine he's heard all the habeas corpus jokes there must be. Big bouncer to the hole, backhanded by Tulo. Off-balance throw, the tag by Helton. Tim McClellan telling Ramirez that he was out after Ramirez was 20 feet down the line. So one away. Nice play by Tulo to make that off-balance throw in the hole. Scott Van Slyke coming up. Manny Corpus, born in Panama City, but he lives in the Denver area. He was originally signed by the Rockies in 1999. He pitched in the first World Baseball Classic for Panama. 1 ball and no strikes to Van Slyke. Van Slyke struck out, hit into a force play, 0 for 2. That's low, 2-0. Corpus 6'3", maybe 170. Two and 0. And ball 3. When Corpus signed with Colorado, he was only 16 years old. Then years later, 2008, he signed a 4-year deal for an extension. That's a strike, 3-1. So Manny started his career in the big leagues in 06. He had to go to Colorado Springs twice, went to the Cubs, and he's been on the DL once. 3-1 to Van Slyke. Big chopper, tricky hop, backhanded by Arenado. Oh, what a good arm. Nolan Arenado airs it out, and we have 2 down here in the 5th inning, and Juan Uribe coming up. Tonight's broadcast, by the way, on AFN, the American Forces Network, broadcasting to the U.S. Armed Forces, serving in 175 countries and aboard ships at sea. They're watching around the world in Iraq, Germany, Italy, Southwest Asia, South Korea, and Japan. Welcome. We hope you enjoy the ball game, and you really honor us for listening to the broadcast. 2 out, 5th inning, and here is Uribe. Ball 1. Uribe is singled and walked and scored 2 of the 3 runs, including, pardon me, a stolen base. Two and 0. And a comebacker gets away from Corpus. He's going to try to catch up to it, and he can't do it. So Uribe, a comebacker that gets away. We'll wait on the scoring. So Uribe now on base for the 3rd straight time. And Jerry Hairston coming up. Should have made the play. And he had both hands on the ball. And it will be an error. So Corpus draws the error. Then tries to run it down. No chance. Jerry Hairston doubled in a run and walked. And ball one. Dodgers 3 runs, 7 hits, no errors. Rockies no runs, 3 hits, and 1 error. That's in there. 1 ball, 1 strike. When you talk about the Rockies and shutouts, they've been shut out 6 times on the road and once at home. So they're 3-7. Pretty hard to shut out the Rockies in the Mile High city of Denver. 1 ball, 1 strike. That's what made Hideo Nomo's no-hitter so remarkable. First to even think about a no-hitter in Denver, and then to pitch in the rain and the slippery mound, and yet he did it. Yeah, Rosario agrees with us. 1-2. And that's a one-handed stab by Todd Helton. So Helton takes perhaps a double away from Hairston. No runs, no hits, an error, man left, and it's 3-0 Dodgers. Steve Garvey, for the second time, was the MVP. He had a single, a triple, and a couple of runs batted in. National League won the game 7-3, and that gave the National League 7 straight wins against the American League. And with all of that, let's go back to this one. Steve Garvey sitting quietly in the stands, having done his time on the field. A remarkable player. I remember way back in Vero Beach, we did a lot of bus traveling before they built Holman Stadium in Vero Beach. Every day you'd get on the bus and travel somewhere across the strait to play an exhibition game. The driver of the bus was Steve Garvey's father, Joe. And a lot of times this little tyke would get on the bus and sit up front near his dad, and little did we know what the future would hold in store. Dexter Fowler, Josh Rutledge, and then Carlos Gonzalez. 6th inning, 3-0 Dodgers. Another swing and a miss. Boy, that ball must really be moving. A great 5 innings turned in by Capuano. Remember last night in that 5-hour, 14-minute game, the Dodgers went into the bullpen 6 times after Rio had to come out after 5 innings. And another strike. Messrs. Howell, Belisario, Dominguez, Rodriguez, Withrow, and Jansen all worked, and they could use a day's respite. They were truly remarkable, especially Chris Withrow. 44 pitches, and eventually he made 59 pitches. A remarkable night for the rookie pitcher. Well-deserved rest indeed. 0-2. And ball one. Capuano occasionally throwing a 91-mile-an-hour fastball, but a lot of slow breaking stuff, and always right around the strike zone. Comebacker. One away. So Capuano with a fastball, slider, changeup.
Second baseman, number 14.
He also
Josh
worked on a
Rutledge.
cutter. And he has one out in the 6th inning. Josh Rutledge, the second baseman, has struck out, fly to center, 0 for 2. By the way, if you are keeping score, in fact, if you're a member of the Marching and Chowder Society of Juan Uribe, ground ball foul. Remember, Uribe hit a comebacker and it got away from Manny Corpus. Well, they checked. The official scorer says that the ball hit the lip of the mound, so in a sense took a bad hop. So Uribe will say gracias and pick up his second hit. Oh, and 1 to count to Rutledge, with Gonzalez waiting on deck. Bounce that thing. 1 ball and 1 strike. Chris Capuano will be 35 in August. He was born in Springfield, Massachusetts, was originally drafted by the Diamondbacks out of Duke University. Big fella, 6'3", about 220. Fastball on the hand, jammed him. So that's what you can do when you can throw the ball in the 70s and 81, and then came in with an 89-mile-an-hour fastball and just jammed Rutledge. 1-2. And down he goes. Another swing and a miss.
Left fielder,
8
Carlos
strikeouts
Gonzalez.
for Capuano. In fact, he's pitching so well. We'll take a look and see about his high in strikeouts. This is a high, and 13 a couple of years ago was his major league high. Check swing foul. 0-1 the count to Carlos Gonzalez. Gonzalez flied to right and singled to right. With all of his abilities, Cargo is only 27. He'll be 28 in October. Way out in front. 0-2. Gonzalez, by the way, was supposed to participate in the home run derby at Citi Field during the All-Star game, actually during the festivities, but because he sprained a finger, he will not appear. They check. No swing, says the rookie umpire, Trip Gibson. His name is Hal, but they all call him Trip, T-R-I-P-P. And what we've seen of him, He's a wonderful acquisition. He's from Montana, Big Sky country. 2-2. Capuano has made 77 pitches with 2 out in the 6th inning. Two and two. And that's going to hit off the end of the bat. Kind of roll with a little English on it. And he'll hold on with the single. So Gonzalez goes 2 for 3, and that'll bring up Tulowitzki.
Shortstop number 2, Troy Tulowitzki.
So even with a sprained finger, Gonzalez can play and play very well. Right out of a pool hall. That ball looked like a runaway gyroscope when it hit. So one Gonzalez talking to another, and with 2 out, Tulowitzki has struck out twice. Tulowitzki in his career is really remarkable if the count runs to 2 balls and no strikes. Well, right now it's 1-0. Why do you say that? Well, on a 2-ball no strike count, Troy Tulowitzki was hitting .571. 3-0 Dodgers. We're in the 6th. And a high but playable fly ball. Puig is calling. So no runs, 1 hit, a man left. A tremendous job by Chris Capuano. And at the end of 5 1/2, 3-0 Dodgers. Dodgers take a 3-0 lead into the bottom of the 6th inning. Dodgers are moving around in the bullpen, so there might be somebody getting up in a moment. Meanwhile, it'll be Tim Fedorovich, followed by Capuano, and then Mark Ellis. Dodgers scored a run in the 2nd inning. Uribe was tagged out at the plate, only the ball then came out of the mitt of Willen Rosario, and the Dodgers had a run. And then Mark Ellis singled home 2 in the 4th. 0-1 the count to Fedorovich. Struck out and walked. No balls, 1 strike. Manny Corpus picking up for Drew Pomeranz. Ball hit deep but foul. Fedorovich has some sock. He has 3 home runs. I always remember Tim this winter when they had a fan fest here, and he and I were standing in center field, and he said, gosh, I've never played before a sellout crowd. Well, he's got one tonight, and he's starting behind the plate. Ball 1. When the Rockies come up in the 7th inning, they'll have Cadaya, Rosario, and Helton. Todd Helton tonight, 1 for 2. Cadaya and Rosario collectively 0 for 4. In fact, it's interesting what's happening with Capuano tonight. Normally, he shuts down the left-hand batters. The left-handers against Capuano hitting only .215, but tonight the left-hand hitters are 3 for 5. Normally, the right-hand batters give Cappy a bad time, hitting .322. Tonight, the right-handers are 1 for 17. Slider popped up. Tulowitzki. So Tim pops it up, 1 away. Capuano has struck out twice, 0 for 2. Capuano has made 80 pitches tonight. And probably drives one down the right field line. Foul. Pretty close. Pretty close indeed. Oh, and 1 the count. Matt Kemp getting a big kick out of how close he came to hitting a home run. So near and yet so far. No balls, 1 strike. One and 1. We're checking to see Capuano in his career did have 1 home run. Little roller. Corpus shovels it to Helton. It was back in 2007. Capuano hit a home run. Mark Ellis coming up. Singled in the 1st inning, then walked, and then came up in the 4th inning with an opportunity and made the most of it. Single into left field to drive in 2, and from 1-0, the Dodgers then led 3-0. Ellis, 2 hits and a walk. Well, remember when we told you that Milwaukee was leading Arizona 3-0? Forget it. Arizona is now leading Milwaukee 5-3 in the bottom of the 8th. They had 3 walks to load the bases. Martin Prado lined a pitch for a 2-run single. The D-backs are still at the plate, leading 5-3. And ball 1. Milwaukee last in the National Central. One ball and no strikes. In there. On deck, Yasiel Puig. 3 runs, 8 hits for the Dodgers. No runs, 4 hits for Colorado. Ground ball, gobbled up, dropped, recovered. Arenado with his arm knows he doesn't have to hurry. So Ellis goes down. The Dodgers are finished at the end at 6, and they hold on to a 3-0 lead. to you by AT&T. Rethink possible. Your Southern California Toyota dealers. And by CarMax. Start the search for your next car at CarMax. Dodgers lead 3-0 as we go to the 7th inning. Dodgers trying to beat Colorado and, among other things, even up the score. They would have split 10 should the Dodgers win tonight. Despicable Me Too. Understand. Very good. Michael Kadire, followed by Willen Rosario and then Todd Helton. Chris Capuano has turned in a fine performance for 6, but of course it's a 9-inning game. And here's Kadire. Mike has hit as many as 32 home runs, so he is a power to reckon with. High chopper. Here comes Hanley. Nice pick on the run to get him. Boy, he is not only hitting the ball very well, he's doing a great job at shortstop. Almost a shy smile there on that play. Dead run. Nice pick. A little low. Adrian stays with it. So 1 away. That'll bring up Willen Rosario, who has struck out and grounded out. 8 strikeouts for Capuano, and that's a strike. Right-hand batters right now 1 for 18 against him tonight. And 2. Rosario hitting .275. Rosario also has 75 hits, and as a catcher you certainly don't expect him to get a couple of infield hits, not very often. Still 0-2. Dodgers begin to move around in the bullpen now. Ronald Belisario and Paco Rodriguez. Capuano has made 84 pitches, and he has 1 out in the 7th inning. 1-2. Capuano only once this year has pitched over 100 pitches. That was 104 in May against the Cardinals, and he was pushed around. So he's now made 85. Off the plate. 2-2. So Rick Honeycutt, the pitching coach, huddling with Mattingly, counting the pitches, watching carefully. 1 out, 7th inning. Two balls, 2 strikes. And that's going to be hit into left field. Base hit. Coming in to get it, Jerry Hairston. So the 1 out single will bring up Todd Helton.
For the Rockies, first base,
Rosario with 76 base hits now. Todd Helton single left and struck out. Capuano a breaking ball, and Rosario went down to get it. Down there. So it was pretty good pitch, pretty good location, and Rosario's pretty good hitter. So here's Todd, 1 for 2, hitting .247, but always a threat in the dirt. Nice block. Helton came into the game 6 home runs, 30 runs batted in. In his prime, the numbers that he put up, he was the franchise for so many years. One ball and no strikes. There might be some people at UCLA who can remember the Rose Bowl 1994. It wasn't the Rose Bowl, but it was in the Rose Bowl. It was the UCLA opener. The Bruins just did get by Tennessee in that game, 25-23. The quarterback that night, Todd Helton, replaced the injured Volunteer quarterback. Todd now with a base hit, and so for the first time, Capuano a serious threat. 2 on, 1 out. Nolan Arenado coming up. Honeycutt on the ball to just see what's going on in the pen, who's ready. Capuano has now made 90 pitches, and you can see Belisario and Rodriguez, and that's going to be it. Here comes Don Mattingly. Though Arenado, a right-hander, will assume that Belisario will be coming in. But a great job turned in by Chris Capuano. Has to be better than the Dodgers would expect, and he gets a well-deserved round of applause as he trots off. Listen. Boy, that was just what the doctor ordered after last night, and we'll be right back. In front of him, Capuano made 90 pitches. Rosario at second base is the first Rocky to get that far tonight. Pomerantz drew wild and had to come out, made 91 pitches in 4 innings. Capuano got 1 out in the 7th before he had to come out without any walks. So they're both left-handed, but a big difference in control and strikeouts. Cappy picking up 8 strikeouts as well. The job is not done. They give it to Ronald Belisario. He'll work on Arenado, who flied to center, single to center. Belisario made 11 pitches last night in the marathon. Ground ball hard. Uribe down to second for 1. They'll turn it for 2. Five, 4, 3 double play. No runs, 2 hits, 1 left. And we're heading for the bottom of the 7th. 3-0 Dodgers. Well, we have the results right now. Who was your favorite Dodger All-Star MVP? And it was a pretty close race between Garvey and Piazza. Mike Piazza got 50% of the Twitter poll vote, and he's the winner. He put on the show in his native state in Pennsylvania. 3-0 Dodgers, bottom of the 7th inning. Belisario came in, made one pitch, got Nolan Arenado to ground into the double play. Manny Corpus still in there, and the Dodgers will have Yasiel Puig, then Adrian Gonzalez, and Hanley Ramirez. Arizona leading 5-3, top of the 9th inning, and they are asking the Submariner, or Submariner, however you want to talk, about Brad Ziegler to close it up. So they have J.J. Putz, he's struggling. Heath Bell is struggling. David Hernandez struggling. So Ziegler is the unlikely closer. Meanwhile, in the 9th inning, there was a hit batter and a 1-out single, and the Brewers, down 5-3, have runners at first and third with 1 out. Puig, meanwhile, is 2 for 3. Going after the first pitch for the first time tonight. Yasiel hit into a double play in the first inning, single to right in the third, and then hit a slow roller that went for a base hit in the fourth. He has his average back up to 400. 1-1. It will be interesting to see if Puig and Ramirez can wind up hitting 400 at the break. Hanley Ramirez was hitting 409 coming into the game. Bad ball, 1-2. Back in 1931, Al Simmons and Mickey Cochran, both in the Hall of Fame, both over 400 for the Philadelphia Athletics. Al Simmons won the batting crown that year, hitting 390. Cochran hit 349. 2-2 the count to Puig. So that's a pretty good combination, Puig and Hanley Ramirez. If they do it, it'll be the first time in more than 80 years. So that's just another thing to watch by Sunday night. 2-2 to Yasiel Puig. Got a piece of it still there. 2-2. Puig, before he hits, and there's a little meeting at the mound, Rosario went out. He always looks like he's trying to get loose. Pinwheels the bat around, uses it like a baton as if he's leading a band. Stretches, always holds the bat over his head, makes a cross in the ground before he comes up to hit. 2-2. Slider got him. Yeah, they didn't have to put their heads together too much to do that. All right, a Major League Baseball update. A final score. Arizona has held on and beaten Milwaukee 5-3. Ziegler with first and third got out of the threat and got a ground out for his second save. Giants and San Diego locked at 2. Giants have just hit the skids. They've lost 14 of the last 16. And of course, San Diego lost 10 in a row. They've won one or two, but they're struggling as well. So Puig strikes out on a slider, and here's Gonzalez. Ball 1. Gonzalez single to left, hit into a double play, and lined out to left. 1 for 3, hitting right at 301. Two and 0. Looking ahead, when the Rockies come up in the 8th inning, it will be Manny Corpus or a hitter, and then Dexter Fowler and Josh Rutledge. And if anybody gets on, Carlos Gonzalez. 3-0. On deck, Hanley Ramirez. And Ramirez twisting and turning. He's trying to loosen up. See somebody trying to loosen up in the bottom of the 7th inning. You figure they have to be a little tired. And that certainly is a solid assumption after what happened last night. The crowd looking on, a sellout, 52,740. 52,740. That would be our 9th sellout of the year. And they drive to center, going back is Fowler to the track. Going to short hop the wall. Adrian on his way for 2. He is in there. So Gonzalez hits the base of the center field wall for a double, and that'll bring up Hanley Ramirez. Long drive over the head of Dexter Fowler. Not enough to get out, but certainly enough to bang the boards right at the bottom of the fence, right there. So Adrian standing at second base. That would be his 20th double. He has 14 home runs. Hanley Ramirez trying to pick him up. Ramirez robbed of an extra base hit on a tremendous play by Carlos Gonzalez. Then he was walked intentionally. Last time up, grounded out, hitting 402. And ball 1. When you ask Hanley about hitting, he'll say the same thing. I feel as good or better than I did in 2009 when I won the batting championship. And he certainly is hitting like that. Trying to pick up Adrian from second. 1 ball, no strikes. Slider away. 1 ball and 1 strike. Couple of raindrops coming down. Call the children. Show them rain. That's what it looks like. And 3-0. Well, the way he's been going, I'd be sure, Van Slyke on deck, I would be sure that Don Mattingly is green lighting him 3-0. It's up to him whether he likes the pitch and the location. But I would not be the least surprised he's hitting 3-0. Didn't like it. Down and away. I think he thought it was ball 4. Well, if I thought he was swinging 3-0, he certainly got the green light 3-1. 1 out. And the slider missed this time. So the Dodgers have runners at first and second. 1 out. Scott Van Slyke struck out, hit into a force play, grounded out. Jim Wright, the pitching coach, watching Corpus. Van Slyke hitting .234. And now let's see. Walt Weiss is coming out to talk to the plate umpire. So that normally means a double switch. Weiss, among other things, played for the Rockies from 1994 through 97. They'll make a double switch. DJ LeMahieu will take over on the infield, and we're waiting to see the pitcher, and we'll find out about him after this. Fences with the new Home Run Derby mobile game from MLB.com. It includes all 24 Home Run Derby competitors from 2010, 11, and 12, available on iPhone and iPad. Download MLB.com's Home Run Derby game for free today. Double switch. LeMahieu is at third. Wilton Lopez on the mound. Fouled away by Scott Van Slyke right into the Dodger dugout. 0-1. Wilton Lopez from Leon in Nicaragua. He's an even 6, 200-pounder. 30 years old on the 19th of this month. Originally signed by the Yankees, never made it with the Yankees. Instead, spent 4 years with the Astros. He was released by the Yankees. Ground ball into left field. What are they going to do at third? They are not going to run Adrian Gonzalez. No way. So Van Slyke, a bouncing single into left field just by LeMahieu. And the Dodgers have loaded the bases with one out. And Juan Uribe, the batter. Big chopper right by LeMahieu. So hit number one charged to Lopez. Here's Uribe. Uribe's had a busy night. Singled, came around to score when the tag got away from Rosario. Walked and scored in the fourth and hit a comebacker that was ruled a base hit. So 2 for 2 and scored twice. Now hitting .280. Ball one. Dodgers 10 hits again tonight. Boy, they had a lot of base hits in Arizona. And ball two. Lopez basically throws a sinking fastball, slider, and a change. Sprained his elbow last year and was on the DL. 2-0. Fastball hit down to LeMahieu. They get one. They get two. So Uribe grounds into a double play. The Dodgers blow another opportunity to score, and at the end of 7, they lead 3-0. Three to nothing. Andre Ethier has now taken over center field, but he is gesturing to the dugout as if to say, am I going to be in center or am I going to be in right? Because Puig is not yet on the field, although here he comes. So Ethier is saying, okay, where do you want me? Scott Van Slyke is going to right field. You have to wonder what happened to Puig. Puig hit into a double play, had 2 singles and struck out, and has come out of the game. When he struck out, Puig left the dugout. He walked to the far end and disappeared up to the clubhouse. Well, we have no idea. But Puig is out. Ethier is in. LeMahieu coming in to finish up at third base, leading it off. And a strike. LeMahieu is from Visalia, although he lives in Bloomfield Hills, hitting .269. His splits, as they say, .333 at home and only .200 on the road. He went to school at LSU, and the count 0-2. DJ LeMahieu, 6'4", 210. Actually born in Visalia, moved to Las Vegas, then to Madison, Wisconsin, and then on to Bloomfield Hills. Ball 1. LeMahieu was signed by the Cubs 4 years ago. Belisario made 1 pitch, got the double play against Arenado to finish the 7th, and now he has LeMahieu. Little tapper to the right side. Mark Ellis. 1 away. Dexter Fowler, the center fielder, off the DL tonight, is 0 for 3. Flied to right, lined out to short, hit back to the box. Dexter Fowler came up to the Rockies originally in 2008. Last year, he came of age with 13 home runs. Shot off Belisario's glove. Ellis has to go back to get it and throws him out. They'll probably give Belisario, since he touched the ball, an assist. And we have 2 out in the 8th inning. Josh Rutledge is 0 for 3. Struck out twice, fly to center. 3 runs, 10 hits for the Dodgers. They've left 9 men in 7 innings. The Rockies, no runs, 6 hits. Fastball, strike. Tough to shut the Rockies out, home or road. They have been shut out 6 times on the road. 0-2. So Belisario has made 8 pitches tonight, made 11 last night. 0-2 to Rutledge. Hard slider, ball 1. 1-2. Carlos Gonzalez on deck. Fly to right, single to right, single to left. So he waits. One ball, 2 strikes. 2-2. That fastball really jumped, and it was clocked at 95. Even sitting up here, you could see the ball just jump a little. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Fastball got him in. That was 95. So that'll do it for the Rockies. 1, 2, 3 in the 8th. We're head to the bottom of the 8th. 3-0 Dodgers. Not only did he pitch so effectively, 6 1/3 innings, the Dodgers, in a sense, needed that kind of a game. They really would have been hurting had they get into the bullpen early. And Capuano gave them into the 7th. Mark Ellis had a clutch 2-run single. Gary Hairston also doubled in a run. And all the starters have gotten on base. Of course, at the same time, you can apply that to the score and say of all 8 starters have gotten on, they should be leading by more than 3-0. But they have left 9. So into the 8th we go. Hairston, Fedorovich, and Belisario due up. 0-1 to Jerry. Doubled, walked, lined out. His line drive looked like a sure double down the right field line, but it was snared by Todd Helton. 0-1. 0-2. Drew Pomerantz went 4, gave up the 3 runs. Manny Corpus pitched 2 1/3, and now Wilton Lopez. By the way, some big guns will be coming up in the 9th inning for Colorado. They will have Carlos Gonzalez, Troy Tulowitzki, and Michael Kadire. Kenley Jansen is down in the Dodger bullpen. Jansen made 31 pitches last night. Still 1-2. So Kenley, who was talking about how much better he feels ever since he had the heart operation. He would be definitely fatigued by this time last year. He's been in 44 games. That's another foul. So Kenley was saying by 40 some odd games last year, I was exhausted. This year, after 44 games, I feel great. One and two the count to Jerry Hairston. Ground ball slowly up the middle. Tulowitzki doesn't want to quit, but he can't make the play. Even had he come up with the ball, I think Jerry would have beaten it. So it'll go as a base hit. So Hairston has a walk, a single, a double, and lined out. Pretty good night. Here's Tulo. Gets the glove on it and dropped it. So that'll bring up Fedorovich, who has struck out, walked, popped up. Nick Punto is going to come out and bat for Belisario. Fedorovich 0 for 2. And a strike. Lopez trying to shut the Dodgers down. Dodgers have had at least one man get on base in every inning but the 6th. In the 6th inning, they went out 1-2-3. Otherwise, it's been standing room only, but on the base paths. Adrian Gonzalez taking a rest. He's had a good night, single and a double. Juan Uribe has had 2 singles, a walk, a stolen base. 1-2 the count. Nick Punto waiting. The Dodgers had 15 hits last night, 10 hits the night before, and 17 hits the night before that. And there's a soft one hopper. Tulo throws it to the second baseman. It gets away. Rutledge had to lean, got his glove on it. Remember, Tulowitzki is just coming off the DL, and rust will show with everyone. See if we can tell. It was. Here's the throw. It looked like Rutledge could get his glove on it. Looks like he should have caught it. It's going to be an error charge and a fielder's choice. So the Dodgers get a break. Carl Crawford is coming up. So 2 on, nobody out. The Dodgers trying to cash in, having left 9. Here they are with a chance to score a couple and now hold everything. Walt Weiss coming out of the Rockies dugout, and slowly, that you would call a funereal walk. Josh Outman is throwing down in the bullpen. So Wilton Lopez will be coming out. We'll be back right after this. Carl Crawford coming up, and a reminder, Saturday, Baseball Night in America returns. The Rockies face the Dodgers. Baseball Night in America begins Saturday at 4 p.m. Pacific. So Carl Crawford will come up and face the left-hander Outman, just called in from the pen. They look bunt. He shows the bunt, pops it foul out of play, and the count 0-1. So Josh Outman out of St. Louis, Missouri. The other night we saw a pitcher whose first name is Homer, but Outman, that certainly is appropriate. He's 6'1" and 200. He'll be 29 in September. Went to Central Missouri State University and was originally selected by the Phillies. Came up with the A's. And now here he is with the Rockies. The bunt is down. Good bunt. Outman has to make the play at first, and it is too late. Walt Weiss, I remember when he was a player, liked to play the drums. I'll bet he'd like to beat on something now. As Crawford lays down the bunt, Outman actually took a split second to look at third base. That was probably the difference at first base. So Crawford lays one down. The Dodgers now with 12 hits. Bases at first, second, and third. And the batter is Mark Ellis. And ball one. So the Dodgers 12 more hits, leading only 3-0. The situations have just begged them to tear the ball game apart, and they haven't been able to do it yet. Ellis single to right and walk, single to left and grounded out. The infield is up, and 2 balls and no strikes. Ellis on deck. Andre Ethier. Remember, Puig, for whatever reason, left the game. Foul back. 2-1. 95-mile-an-hour fastball. So Outman throws hard. When Outman wasn't pitching in college, He was an outfielder and hit .345 for that matter. Fastball, slider, curve, and a change. Josh Outman. 2-1 the count to Mark Ellis. Foul back. So Hairston, an infield single at third. Fedorovich, the fielder's choice when Tulowitzki had his throw get away from Rutledge for an error. And then Crawford bunts to sacrifice and winds up with a bunt single. 2-2 the count. Fastball lifted back at first, down the line. A trio of Rockies and no one. You know, they make it so easy looking when they catch it. It's only when they don't catch it you realize it's difficult. Todd's there, twisted, turned, and it dropped untouched. So the bases remain loaded. In the 2,000 and some odd games, you can just imagine how many twisting foul balls Todd Helton has caught. That's no play. Still 2-2 to Mark Ellis. Two balls, two strikes. And line foul. Boy, did he turn on that thing. That came up there at 85 miles an hour. That was pretty much his changeup. And Ellis just turned too much. Still 2-2 to Mark. Two and two. Fastball whacked into left field. So Hairston will score. Fedorovich will score. There's nobody at third to handle the throw. And the Dodgers have runners at second and third and lead 5-0. And Mark Ellis does it again. He's driven in 4 more tonight. So a line drive base hit into left center to score, and by the time the dust settles, the Dodgers have runners at second and third, still nobody out, and the batter will be Andre Ethier, finishing up in the outfield for Yasiel Puig. Andre Ethier will have his first at bat. Puig tonight was 2 for 4. The infield is up, and the Dodgers now with a chance to really shatter it. 0-1. So Mark Ellis, 4 runs batted in tonight. Down in the Dodger bullpen, Kenley Jansen had been warming up. He stops. Jose Dominguez and Paco Rodriguez have been throwing. You can't see Paco now, but young Jose getting ready for the ninth. 0-2. So Ethier, who did not start tonight against Drew Pomeranz. Andre hitting .245 against left-handers with 1 home run. And a high drive to right field. Going back is Padilla for the catch. Both runners tag up, and it is 6-0 Dodgers as Crawford brings it in. Over to third goes Ellis, and Ethier a run batted in. So Adrian Gonzalez coming up. That long fly ball was only the first out. So the Dodgers 6 runs on 13 hits. Outman, who took a little too much time on the bunt by Crawford, now has paid the price. And with the infield up, here's Gonzalez. And ball 1. That thing almost got away. In fact, it hit the bat. So it's a strike. So we'll change it. 0-1 the count. The plate umpire was quick to indicate that it did hit the bat. So make it no balls and 1 strike. I don't know if you can see it, but right there, it almost went to the backstop because it hit the bat. So 0-1. And another hit the bat pitch. So the count now, no balls and 2 strikes. You can change down in the truck. Thank you. Brandon Lee gets up in the Dodger bullpen with the Dodgers leading 6-0 here in the bottom of the 8th. This is a 3-run inning. 0-2. Got it. So Gonzalez loses a chance at an RBI, and that will bring up Hanley Ramirez with Van Slyke on deck. And with first and second open, you wonder if they'd even bother pitching to Hanley. They walked in intentionally in the 3rd, almost intentionally in the 7th. Rosario looks over to Walt Weiss and, "What do you think?" And Weiss said, "What do I think? Put him on. Who the heck wants to pitch to him?" So Hanley will walk for the 3rd time tonight. Wound up going 0 for 2. Crowd doesn't like it, Walt, but we understand. Walt Weiss was a wonderful player. Among other things, he was the American League Rookie of the Year in 1988. 88, of course, was the Oakland A's championship year, the same club that lost to Kirk Gibson and the Dodgers here. So Walt goes back a good ways. He went to the University of North Carolina, grew up in New York City. So okay, ball 4 to Hanley. Runners at first and third, and Scott Van Slyke. Van Slyke struck out, hit into a force play, grounded out, and then in the 7th inning, single to left field. It's been Pomeranz, Corpus, Lopez, and Outman. Dodgers with Capuano and Belisario, and from the looks of things, they will bring Brandon Lee in to pitch the 9th. Check swing, they look, swing, says Tim McClellan. 0-1. One ball and 1 strike. Don't forget, when the Rockies come up in the 9th inning, the heart of the lineup, Carlos Gonzalez, Troy Tulowitzki, and for good measure, Michael Kadire. Dodgers 6 runs, 13 hits. Fastball picks up the inside corner. 1-2. Two and 2 the count. When Outman was at the community college, they said he had the strangest mechanics scouts had ever seen. The delivery, believe it or not, a product of biomechanical and kinetic research by his father, who published a book on the subject. He used to extend his left arm straight up, bend it to nearly touch his right shoulder, and then throw the ball, taking a somewhat almost casual step toward the plate. He had success with the delivery, supposed to reduce stress on the arm. But then by the time he got to Central Missouri State, the staff made him change the arm action. 3-2 the count. Van Slyke is the 8th man to come to the plate here in the 8th inning. Uribe on deck would be number 9. Three and two, so Hanley will be going from first. And down goes Van Slyke. He got a little of it, but not enough, and strikes out. But the Dodgers settle for 3, lead 2. Big night for Mark Ellis. He knocked in 4. Here comes Brandon Lee. 6-0 Dodgers. Dodgers have had 10 or more hits in 9 of their last 11 games, going back to June the 30th. And of course, they had that whopper the other night when they had 17 hits against Arizona. Brandon Lee, who has certainly had his problems coming in, going from a 2.3 ERA last year to a 6.1 ERA this year. Dodgers have tried to work with him. They've also tried to ease the mental pressure and pain, and this is a perfect spot for him, leading 6-0. Carlos Gonzalez takes a strike. 0-1. Cargo fly to right, single to right, single to left, and in the first inning made a highlight catch to take an extra base hit away from Hanley Ramirez. 0-1. Way out in front. 6 runs, 13 hits for the Dodgers. No runs, 6 hits, and 1 error for Colorado. If the Dodgers can hold on to it, they will then have split 10 games with the Rockies. One and two. Tomorrow night, Clayton Kershaw. Saturday afternoon, Zach Greinke. And Sunday afternoon, Ricky Nolasco. Kershaw with A.J. Ellis on the side, Ricky Nelson, who when he pitched in Arizona had about 40 people there. And that is hammered to right. Carlos gets a hold of one, hits it way up in the bleachers. Whoa. Wow, that thing almost looked like it might go out of the ballpark. He is just one great player. Carlos Gonzalez, the All-Star. 25 home runs, 64 runs batted in. He now has hit 15 home runs in his career against the Dodgers, and that's the 4th home run that he's hit against the Dodgers this year. He has 16 home runs against Arizona. There was no doubt about it. So here's Tulowitzki, 0 for 3. Take one more look. I mean, it was just how far is that going to go? And it was about 5 rows from the top. Wow. So he has 2 singles and a home run tonight. 0-2 the count to Tulowitzki. Tulo struck out twice, fly to center. 0 for 3. Injured his ribs on the DL. Just did get a little of that. This is the 93rd game played by Colorado. Tulowitzki is in his 62nd. He's lost 31 games due to the bad ribs. 0-2. And down goes Tulo, striking out a 3rd time. Again, he's not sharp yet. He's just coming back. A reminder, Dodgers Live will be coming up right after the game. So here's Michael Kadire. Twice grounded to short, struck out 0 for 3. For the Rockies, Capuano struck out 8. Belisario struck out 1. Brandon League now a strikeout. So 10 Rockies have bitten the dust. And a strike to Kadire. On deck, Wilton Rosario. Oh and 1. 1 ball and 1 strike. Brandon 3-3 in his 34th game. Down in the Dodger dugout in the bullpen, you can see Kenley Jansen and Paco Rodriguez. You know they're rooting for a teammate from the bullpen. 2-1. Two and 2. That was 95. I mean, Brandon's got good stuff. They're slowly trying to rebuild him, his confidence, and his ability. 2-2. Got him. So he gave up the home run to Gonzalez. Turns right around. Strikes out Tulowitzki and Kadire. Boy, could they use a new Brandon League. Or let's put it the other way. They could really use the old Brandon League. And with 2 out in the 9th, the batter is Wilton Rosario. Struck out, grounded out, single to left. Dodgers 6 runs, 13 hits, no errors. 1 run, 7 hits for the Rockies, and that's ball 1. Capuano, Belisario, and now League. Pomeranz, Corpus, Lopez, Outman. Capuano to win, Pomeranz to lose. 2-0. On deck, Todd Helton. So Tulowitzki back to the wars. Thoroughly frustrated, I'm sure. Striking out 3 times. Also missing what might have been a double play on that throw to second base. Ground ball to Mark Ellis, and with his 4 RBIs, he has the honor of assisting the last out. The League does a nice job despite the fact Gonzalez hit a home run. The totals, 6 runs, 13 hits for the Dodgers. 1 run, 7 hits, 1 error for the Rockies. Dodgers have now won 5 straight. They are 16-3 since the 22nd of June. They are 13-2 against the Western Division. They remain 1.5 games behind Colorado. The Rockies lose tonight. The Giants are buried last. and the Rockies drift back. They're now trailing Arizona by 4.5. Mark Ellis, a big night. Ellis had 4 runs batted in, 4 of the 6, and the Dodgers win it somewhat easily, 6-1. They have now split 10. Tomorrow night, the Dodgers will send Clayton Kershaw to the mound to try to continue the good things going. The Dodgers have won, among other things, 5 in a row. So if you possibly can, tomorrow night, fireworks night, Kershaw, the all-star pitcher on the mound, pretty good reason to be out here with us. Right now, stay tuned for Dodgers Live coming up next. Good night, everybody.
It's the best 3 words in baseball.